Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to learn about most important functional shortcut keys to work efficiently with Excel formulas and functions. On top of the list is F1 function key. By default, this key launches Excel help pane within the Excel interface and we can get easy access to any help on Excel functions or Excel features. But if you are inside of any toolbox, this will link out to Microsoft support website which will be specific to the tool you are using. I will walk you through these features in just a minute. Second shortcut key on our list is F2. Previously, you might have seen me double clicking on a cell which contains formulas and edit them as per our requirement. We can also use F2 for the same purpose. And as we know, in both the cases, we enter into edit mode. They highlight all the cells referenced by Excel formula with proper color coding. The next shortcut key is F4 and it does two different things. By default, it repeats the last action performed in Excel workbook. It can be inserting rows or columns or formatting any cells. The second important operation is, and it is also most relevant while working with Excel formulas, is that it toggles between relative and absolute references within the formula. I will show an example shortly. The last shortcut key, and definitely not the least one, is F9 key. It performs two interesting operations. First, it forces Excel to recalculate all workbook functions, especially when manual calculation mode is enabled. And the second, it helps in evaluating each function argument within the Excel functions. Very important. Out of these four shortcut keys, we use F4 and F9 keys more frequently and it is very crucial to get used to them. I will show a quick little visual on how F4 key works and then we will go back to Excel to see some practical examples. Let's say we are using F4 key to toggle between relative and absolute references within the formula. For example, let's take A1 relative reference. As you press F4 key, this is how it cycles between different references. At first, it will change this relative reference to entirely fixed reference, and then just to fixed row, and then to fixed column, and then back to relative reference. Really a great shortcut key to save time and to practice until it becomes habitual. Now let's go back to Excel and see some practical examples. So we are back into Excel. Here I have a sample data with different items listed in first column, their quantity, unit cost, and total cost per items. I have also calculated the total cost using sum function. Now say for example, we need to learn more about the sum function. Just make sure your mouse cursor is blinking in between the function name and then pressing the F1 key will launch the Excel help pane and it will automatically link to the topic that we are searching for. In this case, it is the sum function. You will see there are some examples to show how to use the sum function. Microsoft has recently started posting the video tutorials on every topic which are really very helpful. You can also see the syntax of sum function and also they have listed some best practices to follow. A very helpful and important feature in Excel. Now let's say we need to add the drop-downs in this particular column to categorize each of the items in fruits and vegetables. Let's go to Data tab and then click on Data Validation. Now let's say we don't know how to use the data validation feature to create the drop-downs in Excel. Now, keeping this particular tool window open, you can press F1 key to launch the official website of Microsoft Office support and it will automatically open the topic we are searching for. Again, we have the video tutorial on this particular topic of data validation and we can easily learn how to create the drop-downs in Excel. Also, all the necessary information related to data validation is available in one single page. So either it is related to any help or you want to learn any feature in Excel, all the information is available at your fingertips. In my previous videos, you might have seen me double clicking on any Excel cell to change its value or to modify the Excel formulas. Instead of double clicking, you can use F2 shortcut key to enter into edit mode in Excel. The edit mode in Excel will enable you to change any cell value or modify the Excel formulas and functions. If any Excel cell has formulas, it will highlight all the cells referenced by the Excel formula and it will color code them for better visualization. Now let's see how to use F4 key to repeat the last performed action in Excel. Say for example, I want to add a new row in between this table. I will select the entire row, right click and then choose Insert. Excel will remember this particular action in its memory, and when we press F4 key, it will keep repeating the last performed action. Let me undo all these changes. Apart from repeating the last performed action, F4 shortcut key has another significant role to play. That is, it can toggle between relative and absolute cell references while working with Excel formulas or functions. Say for example, in this sum formula, we can see K2 cell is currently in relative reference, and to convert it into absolute reference, we need to add dollar symbol in front of either rows or columns or in front of entire cell reference. So instead of adding the dollar symbol manually, we can use F4 shortcut key to change this cell reference to absolute reference. The only thing we need to remember here is, before using the F4 shortcut key, we need to select the entire cell reference, or either make sure the mouse cursor is blinking right after the row reference, or before the column reference, or in between the cell reference. Now, if we press F4 key, it will change the entire cell reference into absolute reference by adding the dollar symbol in front of column and as well as row reference. If you press one more time, it will add the dollar symbol in front of row reference. If you press one more time, it will add dollar symbol in front of column reference. Pressing it one more time, it will change the cell reference back to relative reference. This cycle is very important. So we can use the F4 shortcut key to cycle between different cell references and then change our formulas or functions as per our requirement without manually adding the dollar symbols. Finally, let's see how to use F9 key effectively while working with Excel formulas. The reason why we use F9 shortcut key is to force Excel to recalculate all the Excel formulas. Even though most of the Excel functions are dynamic in nature unless manual mode is enabled, there are few Excel functions like today, now, which will display today's date and current time. They either require Excel application to close and reopen to update their values, or we can use F9 shortcut key to force Excel to recalculate these kind of formulas. Let me add the now function in this particular cell, and it will display today's date and time in hour, minute and seconds. You can clearly see, even though this function displays the time in seconds, it won't automatically update the new value even after few seconds have been passed after adding this formula into this cell. So, to force Excel to recalculate this formula, we need to press F9 key, and we will see seconds value will start updating. This feature is applicable for all Excel formulas to recalculate their values. The second important feature of F9 key is it will calculate each argument in Excel formula. Say for example, we are calculating the total cost based upon the quantity and the unit cost. Even though you see the cell references in this simple Excel formula, we may have the requirement to know what is the value being pulled by these cell references. So to know this, you must have to select the entire cell reference and then press the F9 key to know the value behind. Let's go to sum function and then select the entire cell reference from K2 to K6. And if you press F9 key, you will see the list of all the values referenced by this range of cells. This example is very simple to understand the functionality of F9 key, and you may not feel its importance right now. But imagine you are having a very complex Excel formula which involves lot of logical decisions. At that point of time, this F9 key plays a very important role to understand the output of each argument of different Excel functions. And we will see such examples in upcoming videos. For now, this is what I wanted to cover in this tutorial.